Welcome to Your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 814. If you are writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book but you need some help getting it done, or perhaps you're at the stage where you need help reaching more readers to let them know about your book, you are in the right place. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh. If you're looking for me online, look for Christine Inc., like that stuff we write with. Each day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 20 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they even have the ability to turn a quote-unquote non-author into a published one. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. Aspiring authors, get this through your head. Cover art serves one purpose and one purpose only, to get potential customers interested long enough to pick up the book to read the back cover blurb. In the internet age, that means the thumbnail image needs to be interesting enough to click on. That's what covers are for. Larry Correia. Once again, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. So why is finding a great book cover design so difficult? Design is best left to designers, of course, but what if you don't happen to have one on hand or on staff? Traditionally published authors usually have access to their publisher's design team, but self-published or independently published authors are usually left on their own. They can either recruit a freelance designer of their own choosing or host an online design contest soliciting dozens of designs from around the world in hopes that the quantity of options will yield one quality book cover. This tends to result in kind of hit or miss design results as unsupervised authors navigate the jungle of unsupervised designers, hoping to land on that great book cover that will bring them all the sales. Unfortunately, the formula to produce such a great book cover seems cloudy at best. The fact is, most of the time, it's hard to know a great book cover until you see it. There are some general guidelines and criteria floating around the internet amongst the publishing community, but the process itself seems to be rooted in art, not so much science. As a wordsmith by trade, a writer, I'll be the last person to throw my hat into the design aspect of this conversation. However, something I do for many of my authors is I collaborate on the book production process. So I've certainly seen my share of book design processes, good and otherwise. So I'm more than willing to attack this situation from a process perspective, being the creative scientist that I am, because I am personally invested in making all steps of the publishing process time and cost efficient, stress-free, and hopefully even fun for my clients. So why does the process of designing a good book cover often seem to be none of those things? Pass after pass, idea after idea, and conversation after conversation between author and designer and various other interested parties as tensions rise on all sides while everyone struggles toward the common goal of creating a book cover worthy of the words inside. So here's the problem. When it comes to book cover design, nobody's speaking the same language. On the author's side of the table, the prevalent theory for talking to a designer seems to be the more they know, the better they can design. As a result, designers end up buried under a virtual pile of words, ideas, excerpts, chapters, random thoughts, monologues, diatribes, tons of emails, some having very little to do with the book itself, all delivered with the best intentions, of course. Designers, on the other hand, from my experience, are visual people. They have a gift for interpreting the world in images, colors, fonts, textures, and other visual tapestries. And as a word person, I am in deep admiration of this skill. Designers, when faced with a massive wall of words describing deeper philosophies and subtext and stories behind the book's creation, will most likely start hunting for something visual to latch onto and develop into an actual image. And so we find ourselves in the middle of a muddy intersection of two very different languages. The shared intention of creating a great book cover, but no clear process for getting there. So here's just kind of my idea for a solution to pursue. Author and designer need to find a common language. And here's my attempt at a three-step process to bridge the divide and bring them together. Step number 1, clarify. Authors, rather than telling the designer everything you think your book is about, try this instead. Identify the 3 core messages of your book and then see how you can then translate those messages using visual language. For example, one of my authors wrote a book about America's most divisive political and societal issues. Translated into visual core message statements, we used phrases like the fiery issues dividing America are creating tears in our American flag. Very visual. Step number 2, translate. Now the designer can identify 3 or sometimes more visual concepts that align with the core messages. Effectively, you're translating written ideas into a visual language with this step. And finally, number 3, work together to decide where is the common ground between the author's 3 core messages and the designer's concepts. It might take a few rounds of this to hit upon the winning concept, but at least we're now working from a common ground where author and designer are able to speak the same language. So in summary, even if this method isn't a perfect solution, I'm hoping that we're at least starting a conversation here with today's episode amongst authors and designers and others in publishing who are frustrated with the challenging process of book cover design. So my question is, how can we add a little scientific process to the art of designing a great book cover? So I'd love to hear from all of you, authors and especially designers. The whole point of today's episode is how can we speak the same language? How can we create a common language between authors and book cover designers? So maybe it's less of a frustrating process to get that great book cover that will really bring the words inside to life. So I'd love to hear your input in my Inc. Authors group on Facebook. I always drop the link in the show notes. Please chime in on this. Let's make the book cover process a little bit easier for everybody involved. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And I would be so appreciative if you could subscribe wherever you're listening to this show and leave a review while you're there. Thank you so much. Until tomorrow, happy writing.